Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Bike Show. Now you might remember last week we promised that we're going to come here to the sunny, beautiful city of Seville or Sevilla, or however they want to say it, in Spain. And a beautiful city it is, even more beautiful because they built this brand new racetrack. And even more beautiful because Ducati have a brand new Panigale superbike for us to ride on it.
Yes indeed, and it's this, the Panigale V2. Now we all know that the V4 is Ducati's flagship monster superbike, whereas the Panigale V2 follows in the footsteps of the 748, 749, 848 and 899 Panigale, in that it's sort of a baby brother for people who want Ducati's racing pedigree but with less masochism. It sounds excellent.
Now before we start, there's a few problems. The first problem is me. I have not actually been on a racetrack in more than a year. We just haven't really had an opportunity. We haven't done any sort of track bikes. It just sort of worked out that way. So it's been more than a year since I've ridden on a racetrack, and I've sort of skipped gym day since, well, it's been 43 years since I skipped gym day. So I'm not entirely sure how well this is going to go.
And your presenter's slovenly lifestyle is merely where the problems start.
What makes it so much worse is that this track, it's just a lot. It's hills and corners and corners and corners and corners. And just when you think you had enough corners, there are more corners. There are blind corners, like this one here, completely blind. Where the hell is it? Oh, jerk, goes that way. Oh, bugger hell. There we go. And now this way, and now this way. This track is 4 kilometers long, and yet they somehow managed to fit 827 corners in 4 kilometers. How do you do that?
Alright, so I'm unprepared and the track is a tricky one. But surely all these problems end with the bike. Well, not necessarily, because what it does is raise some questions. The new Panigale V2 has been completely redesigned from the ground up, with a legion of clever engineers from Ducati making it as good as it can be. So then let's see what they've done. We start with the engine. The previous V2 was a 955cc 90-degree V-twin, while the new bike is, well, it's not quite that. In fact, they've reduced the capacity of this V-twin motor to 890cc. But surely they've used some clever technology to overcome this. Well, actually no, they've removed some. The famous desmodronic valve system has been replaced with ordinary valve springs. And while the previous V2 pushed 155 horsepower, this one pushes 120. That's a bit of a backpedal, and you can feel it.
This is not a particularly fast motorcycle. I mean, you know, when you're gonna go compare it to sort of, especially the liter bikes, it's not really fast. It's not even fast when you compare it to like 2750s and all of that. In that regard, it's quite slow. It's almost more comparable power-wise to a 600, which is a bit strange. I mean, this is a 900 after all.
This is peculiar. Would Ducati, the world's most famous motorcycle racing brand, purposefully detune one of its motorcycles? The answer, it turns out, is yes. You see, apart from lots of clever engineers, Ducati also hires a stack of marketing people who do things like market research and analysis. And what these teams have determined is that there are a lot more people in the market for an easier, more forgiving superbike than an outright lap time devouring psychopath. And so it is this need that Ducati has attempted to fulfill. With that in mind, let's re-look at this V2.
Oh, listen to that V2 and grunt. There's something right about a Ducati V-twin. I mean, the Ducati's done extremely well with their V4, well done to them, 10 out of 10. But there's just something at home about there we go, grunt of a V-twin. Oh yeah.
It does sound damn good. But there's more to this than an exciting soundtrack. Ducati sought to make a superbike that's easier to ride. And with that is a motor not all about max horsepower, but more about where that power can be used. For example,
now my first instinct on this bike is to bang the gears down and scream it. So let's go to this corner to second gear, revs high, and then you accelerate, and immediately you have to be up to third. Whereas this corner, which is slightly tighter, let's try it in third gear, see what happens. There we go, and back this way, and then accelerate. See, it's fine. You can use the grunt. In fact, this whole track, most of it you're leaving it in third gear. And you'd think with that very over square piston or cylinder, it would just be so revvy. And you would need to rev it, but it's not. I mean, how do they do that? I have no idea.
well, part of this witchcraft is the use of variable timing for the intake valves. What this does is it makes 70% of the 93 Nm of torque available from just 3000 RPM. So you have grunt throughout almost the entire rev range. Unlike, say, a 600cc 4-cylinder, where your power is between, say, 15,000 RPM and 15,102 RPM. But there's more to this motorcycle than simply tractor levels of grunt. There's a big chunk of mass gone too. For example, the 890cc motor is 9.5 kilograms lighter than its predecessor, making this the lightest V-twin motor Ducati has ever produced. In fact, the entire motorcycle weighs 175 kilograms without fuel, 17 kilograms less than its predecessor.
17 kilograms is a lot. I mean, go put 17 kilograms on your back. I mean, that's your luggage when you go on holiday on the airport. Put that on your back and try jogging. That's a lot of kilograms.
The chassis is a monocoque design, like previous Panigales, where the motor makes up a major part of the frame. The rest is aluminium, including a new double-sided swing arm that's based on that of the new Panigale V4. On these S model V2s, the suspension is all Öhlins, and we know how well that works.
This bike is so easy. You just sort of go, it just sort of says to you, where do you want to go? Oh, there, okay. No problem. Even this corner, which is notoriously difficult, off camber, it just gets tightens up. And you just keep leaning. And the bike just says, yes, sir, no problem, sir. Here we go. Now this thing has the best of suspension. Brakes maybe less so. It's got the M50 calipers. That, you know, they're good. Just not top of the range. But they work.
And while we might be on track now, this motorcycle fits a more all-encompassing role, including road riding. And while we didn't get a chance to stray into the public domain, it does seem like it would work well.
A quick shifter. It's rather roomy, this bike. I mean, I don't feel like I'm on a cramped superbike. I don't struggle to get on it. I don't struggle for my feet on the foot pegs. I've got lots of room to move about, and that's important.
Naturally, every bit of electronic gadget is on hand, including a rather snazzy TFT dash. And all this goodness will be reaching South African shores in around May. However, brace yourself for the price. Provided nothing big changes economically, the base model will be 300,000 Rand, while the S model with Öhlins will be 330,000 Rand. That's not a little bit of money.
It's a Ducati. It's a Ducati. And I know there's people out there who don't think much of the idea, but it's a Ducati. It looks like a Panigale because it is a Panigale. It's V-twin growl. It's, dare I say, class-leading sophistication. It's everything. It's a Ducati. That's a big chunk of money. You can buy a GSX 1000 for that much, but love you Suzuki, but it's not a Ducati.
And now for the crunch. Does this motorcycle work? Ducati has taken some steps back in order to make a motorcycle that's easier to ride and more about having fun than breaking records. Now usually I'm a staunch proponent of speed and horsepower, but on this day, in this place, I'm so grateful we have this instead.
This bike is not about breaking lap records. I mean, you want the 1000 cc's for that. Maybe in its class, yeah, sure, it will. This bike is about having a good time. It's about enjoying riding. Not getting overwhelmed. Not feeling you're out of place. It's about having fun. Riding a beautiful motorcycle. Feeling excitement, feeling joy. Enjoying what you're doing. Wanting to keep lapping. That's this motorcycle. It's a good little motorcycle, this. You got a lot that you could criticize on it, but this is a damn good little motorcycle. I want to keep on riding.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Now, right now we are in BikeShop Rivonia. We're here a lot because, well, why wouldn't you be? But today we're doing something a little bit different. This is a Ducati Multistrada 1260. And what we're going to do is tell the story of how it came from a previous owner to be right here on the showroom. And it's quite an interesting story. Stay tuned.
Now firstly, BikeShop Rivonia buys bikes from every part of the country. They have evaluators that look at motorcycles anywhere, and once an agreement is reached and the money is in the seller's account, the bikes are then transported to the Rivonia shop, including our Multistrada, which was purchased from an owner in Cape Town. Once it is offloaded, there is an official handover and the bike is checked into stock. All this is vitally important, especially when dealing with as many motorcycles as BikeShop Rivonia does. Now, this Multistrada is already clean and in great nick, but that's not enough. It needs to be perfect. Once it is in the system, it is ridden down to the detailing area where it starts in the wash bay. Sounds simple? No.
What's amazing about this is that normally when you see like bikes getting washed, it's just, it's a dude with a power washer and a cloth, and that's fine. I mean, the bike will be clean, but they don't want clean, they want immaculate. The bike must be spotless completely throughout. And that is why you look here, there's a whole lot of processes that go into it, and not just a dude. I mean, there's a team working over here. So this really is an intricate process.
Once thoroughly cleaned, it is then moved to the detailing area, where the team go through every bit of it literally with a fine-tooth comb, cleaning bits you can see and bits you can't. A service like this would cost the customer anything up to 5,000 Rand, but this is no customer service. These guys work full time on BikeShop Rivonia stock. Also, should there be any blemishes or scratches, that part would either be repaired or replaced. The bike is then of course moved over to the workshop where it is again checked over. For example, on this bike, there were bolts missing from the bash plate that were replaced. The chain needed lubing and an adjustment, and the old number plate is removed. This bike needed very little work, but everything that needs work will be done before any bike is delivered. The last step is the dedicated photo studio, where pics are taken for the BikeShop Rivonia website. And now, at last, our multistrada is ready to join the 500 odd other bikes on the showroom.
So there we have it. I mean, how interesting is that, where this motorcycle came all the way from Cape Town, so sort of in-depth clean that, you know, here it is on the showroom. I mean, it just kind of shows a lot of kind of dedication and what goes into these motorcycles to make them as they are in the showroom and make them good for the customers who buy them. So there we go, ladies and gentlemen, from BikeShop Rivonia. Please come and have a look at this place. It is spectacular. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Now, early on in the show, I was in Spain riding the new Panigale V2. So now Ducati, up until this stage, as far as South Africa is concerned, it's been a bit topsy-turvy. It's had a few different importers kind of take it over. Last one was sort of a private individual. Now it's changed hands. We have mentioned this on the show already, and there is a whole story about it on ridefast.co.za if you want to know the full nitty-gritty about it. But basically what's happened is VW Group Africa is now taking over Ducati South Africa, and possibly more of Africa as it goes. Now, here's the thing, right? A lot of people have been a bit concerned. They've sort of said, well, does this mean Ducati's now just going to become a big corporate entity? And the answer is kind of actually yes, but not in kind of a bad way. Because here's the thing, as far as the Ducati store is concerned, you know, where you walk in, buy bikes, interact with people, there are going to be Ducati stores. So for example, the store in Centurion is still running, it'll still carry on running. Very soon, in the next sort of 2 months, they're going to be opening up a new shop in Cape Town. And we've actually seen some of the drawings of it.
We saw the renditions. It's spectacular, guys. So it's old meet new. They've got an old corner building with the Cape Dutch front. And you walk in there and it's going to be spectacular. But exactly as Donovan says, it's Ducatisti. It's not going to be a VW store at all.
No, you're not
it's all about Ducati.
You're not going to get a Panigale parked next to a Polo Vivo or anything like that. So the stores will be Ducati, the rides will all be Ducati.
Correct.
But behind the scenes, so when it comes to, for example, spares, accessories, warranties.
You've got the giant.
Exactly.
You've got the giant of VW.
Finance services.
You have a puncher in the middle of the Karoo.
Exactly.
Who are you going to call? Not the Ghostbusters. You're going to call VW. So that's it. They will piggyback off all of it. It can only be good.
Okay, now from Ducati, we've got a bit of a feel-good story. Glenn, I'm going to ask you to take this away.
Yeah, I tend to butt in, so he's giving me the limelight now, which is pretty cool. This is a feel-good story. It might seem inconsequential, but it just shows you that there's still a lot of good out there in the world. There's a lot of good. We came across a post. We didn't come across a post, really. My friend Garth Taylor, you've seen his stuff online and that, was traveling on Modderfontein Road the other day.
Yes.
And he saw two little guys going boing, boing, boing off the side of the road. They've been deliberately bumped off their Big Boy Velocity 150.
Yeah.
They were not delivery bikes. They were just two normal guys like you and I when we were Appies. We had our little motorbike. They were on their way to go and do some shopping. And it was a hit and run. Bang, off the guy went.
It was a Ford Ranger, apparently.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Ford Ranger just bumped him and then disappeared.
Ran off. Garth immediately, he's also a motorcyclist, pulled over, shielded them from the rest of the traffic, jumped up, hey guys, how can I help you, whatever, pulled their bike up to them and all that sort of thing, dusted them off, loaded their bike, arranged to have their bike loaded, and took them home. Then he posted the whole situation on his Facebook page and said, if anyone has any information about this, please let us know. A lady called him, said, I've got the registration number, I witnessed what happened. And she said she actually saw Garth pulling behind them, so she continued. Got the registration number and all of that. A case has been laid. So, if you were the who bumped those oaks off, you're going to get your come
Yeah,
up.
you are
That's
gonna
fair.
come.
And
But
we'll
the-
probably come pay you a visit as well.
But there
It's
is some good
unbelievable.
news because okay, they were on a little big boy, and you know, thinking about what good stuff to do, you and Garth got together and said,
Yeah.
"Hello, Mr. Big Boy."
Exactly. Garth said, Glenn, how can we help these guys? I said, oh, you can't really. You've done your bit already. I said, no, come on, what can we do? And thought about it. Phone the guys from Big Boy. Explain the situation. Immediately, why don't you just bring the bike around? Went around to their house. We picked it up, loaded it up, took it through to the Big Boy guys, and they said, well, give us a week or so. Drop it off. Leave it with us. We left it there. We were called in today, this morning. Yeah, this very morning. So I phoned on and I said, come on, come through. Let's go and film this thing. We arrived at Big Boy.
William was there.
William came along.
fellow who was
One of the
riding,
guys, one of the guys who was knocked off. So we got hold of Big Boy. They agreed to it, and then I got hold of Mark Vine from Autocycle Centre. I said, Mark, this is what's happened. He donated 2 brand new MT helmets. Anyway, we arrived there. Big Boy says, boys, come and have a cup of coffee on the grass or whatever. Sit here. We all sat chatting around, and we heard brum, brum, brum coming up the hill. Hey?
Yeah.
Don, you can tell the rest of it. You were there.
And then next thing you know, this little Big Boy bike comes riding out.
Brand new.
I thought it was brand
Yeah,
new.
brand new.
It turns out it wasn't quite brand new, was it?
It was his
actually
bike.
It was his bike. They
Yeah.
fixed everything,
Yeah.
polished everything. This dude's smile was this big.
They replaced the clocks. They replaced they put on crash bars, which is probably a good thing. Best of
rather
all,
apt.
Donovan, it didn't cost him 1 cent. They said to him, sir, it's a pleasure to have a customer like you on our motorbike. Thank you so much.
Oh man, but
How good is that?
It is such good news.
Yeah.
But you know, first of all, Big Boy guys, thank you so much. I mean, you came to the party, helped these guys out.
Correct.
I mean, it wasn't cool.
It seems like a nothing, but
Yeah,
in that guy's
they-
life, it's a massive
it's a
thing that
massive
you guys
thing.
have done.
Mark Vine, Autocycle, MT helmets. Thank you so much for that.
So cool.
And that's it for the show this week. Next week, Glenn was in Portugal riding some CF motos, and we're going to be showing what he got up to. That's on the bike show next week.